In chapter 7 of Finding God's Will, I write about the part of God's will no one wants. God's will isn't always sunshine and flowers. There's some difficult parts of God's will. In the chapter, I write about my wife and I had a miscarriage. We had already had a child, and we're going to have another one. We were so excited. Things had been bought. We were excited about this baby, and yet we couldn't find the heartbeat when we went to the doctor's office. We sat down and we cried the rest of the day. But that afternoon, it was time to stop crying because my wife's mom arrived at our door. Not to console my wife, who had just had a miscarriage, but she had arrived for cancer treatment. Within 6 months, my wife's mom was dead. So not only did we have a miscarriage, we also lost a precious family member. And in that, we just sought the Lord, saying, how can this be God's will? This pain, this season of death, particularly for my wife, how can this be God's will? Well, you know what? God's will is not always what we want. Sometimes He can use things that are extremely painful in order for us to shine very brightly. What we learned through that time and really discovering God's will in this is that God is faithful. Even when it hurts, we sought Him and we found peace. Even in the pain, we found a comfort in Him. And so I want to encourage you, if you've gone through some difficult times, that you would seek God through His Word, through praise and worship music was really important in our lives as well, just praising the Lord. And also we were able to shine with Christ. People would come up to my wife and I and they'd say, how do you have this joy? Not a fake smile, not just some joy that just comes on the outside, but an inner joy, even going through the struggle. And in that joy, we were able to say we're shining with Jesus Christ. And lastly, you know what I've discovered through this? God uses our misery and makes it our ministry. Do you know how many people I've been able to counsel through a time of cancer taking a loved one? Or how many people I've been able to share with is you've gone through a miscarriage and I've gone through a miscarriage, and we've been able to talk on a completely different level. So when you encounter times of God's will that no one wants, trust that God is faithful and trust that He can cause you to shine even in the midst of it. And He can take your misery and actually turn it into a ministry that you can help people. This world's a fallen world. Everything is not always sunshine and roses, but we can trust that Jesus Christ can meet our needs, even in the places of God's will that there's pain.